What's up? This is Damns It All, the show about the USACE mission and why it's important. As you can see, we're in the old garage today. I woke up and opened the door to go set up outside, and I was like,
nope.
So that's why we're in the garage with the old green screen, but I really got to do something about the lighting. Huh? A little magic? Now let's get the old backyard up on the green screen. That doesn't look too bad, but we don't really even have to do it in the backyard. We got the green screen. We could be anywhere. Like, we could be in the mountains, or we could be in the desert. Did it just get hot in here? Or is that just my sweet technology? Or do you want to go somewhere more exotic? How about Delaware? Good old exotic Delaware. But let's just stick with the old backyard. On today's show, we're talking about the moon. And now that I say it, we might as well just put the moon up back here. I mean, we got the green screen, we got the technology, we might as well. That's not bad. Feels right. Now you might be saying, Luke, what does the moon have to do with infrastructure? And to that I say, I'm gonna tell you, stop being so pushy. But first, a lot has happened since the last time we hung out. Like, I broke my arm. Yep, radial fracture just below the elbow, and I did it in a really embarrassing way. And I'll tell you all about it, but you have to ask the question in the comments before I'll share. I ticked off a box on my life to-do list and got to a game in not so sunny Wisconsin at the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And we got a new resident in the backyard. And the family and I saw a UFO on the way back from getting our Christmas tree. Hard to see, I know, but it wouldn't be a UFO sighting if it was all crisp and clear and easy to make out. Now, I'm not saying it was aliens, I'm just saying it was definitely unidentified, it was definitely flying, and it was definitely an object. But the weirdest thing is that the lights all went off at the same time, like someone just hit a switch. It was super weird. Something else I find weird is the moon. I mean, it smells like gunpowder, it rings like a bell, it's moving away from us an inch every year, and we've only ever seen one side of it. Like, it doesn't rotate. And I was embarrassingly old when I learned that little tidbit too, and I'll tell you how old I was, but gotta ask the question in the comments. The only way I'm gonna let it out. And when you think about how that lifeless rock affects our oceans, like, what is that all about? Like, how does that even happen? So here's the short version. So the moon has gravity, and that gravitational pull creates a bulge in the ocean where it's closest to the planet. And this is what creates our high tides. That all makes sense to me, but the part that's still boggling my mind, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around it, is that there's a high tide on the opposite side of the planet as well. And that's because the moon not only pulls that bulge into the ocean, but it also pulls the Earth ever so slightly towards the moon, and that leaves the ocean behind a little bit, and that's what creates the other high tide. Crazy. And as the Earth rotates, different areas go through these bulges, and that's what creates the high and low tides about every 12 hours. I fell down this little rabbit hole because we just had some king tides on the West Coast, and I wanted to know what they were and what makes them different and how they affect our ecosystem and our infrastructure. King tides are scientifically known as spring tides, but it has nothing to do with the season. And they happen when the moon is closest to the Earth, which creates the biggest bulge in the ocean. Now, the sun does add some gravity to the equation too, but only about half of what the moon does because it's so far away. But when the sun and the moon are aligned perfectly with us, they team up to pull on our oceans and create the highest tides of the year. So how does that affect us? Well, these extreme tides coupled with the rise in sea levels can create flooding, erosion, and damage to infrastructure and coastal communities. And they're also really dangerous to people who are caught in this high tide or folks just trying to watch them roll in and they get swept away. So what can we do to protect ourselves and our communities from these king tides that are getting higher and higher every year? Most importantly, never turn your back on the ocean. This is just a good rule of thumb for life, especially when you're checking out the king tides. And if you're gonna take in this rare natural phenomenon, do it from a safe distance. And please stay off the jetties and the coastal reinforcements that are designed to absorb the energy created by these huge waves in the ocean. Coastal communities can use sea level rise maps to see the potential effects of king tides, including which areas are most at risk for flooding and erosion. Infrastructure like cobble burns and stormwater management systems can help too. Now, if you want to volunteer to help, you can organize beach cleanups so the king tides don't spread trash all around, and you can plant grass in the dunes to help keep the beach from eroding away. The king tides are a unique spectacle to witness, but they're not going anywhere. In fact, they're getting worse and worse as the sea level continues to rise. So we all need to work together to protect the beach towns that we all love. That's going to do it for this edition of Dams It All. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And if you want to know how I broke my arm and how old I was when I learned that the moon doesn't rotate, ask those questions in the comments. That's the only way I'm going to tell you, is if you ask a question in the comments. And both answers are pretty embarrassing. For USace Portland, I'm Luke Burns. Boy.